The new Beyond Light expansion provides more of what Destiny 2 is good at. Satisfying first-person shooting, fascinating places to explore, a whole lot of punchy guns to try out, and a great inventive raid. It also maintains some of the game's lingering problems though, like a reliance on repetitive content and time-sucking grinds to arbitrarily raise numbers. To put it simply, Beyond Light is largely more Destiny. If that's a thing you like, you'll enjoy it, and if it's a thing you complain about, you probably won't. The last 2 years have seen Bungie making changes to Destiny 2, both large and incremental, that are improving the game, deepening its world, and expanding its experiences. Beyond Light is perhaps the best told story that developer Bungie has put forth in the game. The focus is on characters who have feelings and motivations, which allows them to grow beyond being just voices on the radio yelling at you to go shoot another world-threatening alien. And new additions to the game, like a host of freezing abilities called Stasis, change up the gameplay and combat strategies in fun and unexpected ways. The new expansion takes you to Europa, one of Jupiter's frozen moons, to uncover secrets about the latest threat invading the solar system, the Darkness. For the last few seasons of Destiny 2, we've been puzzling out what the Darkness has in store for us. But instead of attacking, the Darkness is offering seductive power. It doesn't want to kill the Guardian heroes that players control, it wants to own them.
Beckoned. You answered. We've kept you waiting long enough. Come to us. Salvation awaits.
Much of the story of Beyond Light is about characters trying to figure out how to harness the powers offered by the Darkness, called Stasis, in order to fight it. But the most pressing threat is Aramis, a member of the alien race known as the Fallen, who has gotten hold of Stasis and is raising an army to wield it. Taking her out is your goal for the first few hours of the expansion, but that's mostly a vehicle to getting Stasis into your hands so you can run wild with it. Stasis is the real star of Beyond Light, offering a new brand of abilities that require you to rethink your strategies. The powers of Stasis debuff enemies, slowing them down, freezing them solid, or walling them off behind giant ice crystals. Where most abilities and supers in Destiny 2 are dedicated to damaging enemies or healing teammates, Stasis adds capabilities for controlling the battlefield, changing the landscape, and altering the odds. These powers are a nice refresher for Guardian capabilities and feel significantly different from everything else already available. The icy approach of Stasis requires you to figure out how to best use it against enemies and how to best avoid getting frozen by opponents. As Stasis becomes a more regular part of Destiny 2, it's easy to imagine ways it can be paired with existing abilities and weapons to pave the way for a whole new set of tactics. Stasis also comes with a bunch of customizations you can earn as you play, amping up the effectiveness of some elements of your new capabilities while exacting tolls like drops in character stats. Destiny 2 has come a long way in providing ways to spec out your characters, and Stasis deepens that system with additional satisfying choices. However, a lot of Beyond Light is Destiny as usual. The quest to get your new Stasis powers, for instance, often consists of the usual shoot X number of Y enemy grind. There also continues to be a heavy reliance on bounties, which require completing minor objectives that are mostly about racking up kills with specific weapons or abilities, and which can be boring to slog through, especially when it slows you down from accessing cool new Stasis elements. But while some of the gameplay can be predictable, Europa is an impressive new offering. It's a big location with varied environments to explore, including frozen wastes, ravaged ruins, a fallen city, and huge sci-fi facilities. The destination also adds dynamic weather to Destiny 2 for the first time, and while it's not a drastic change, a blizzard whipping up in the middle of a firefight to kill visibility forces you to change how you play just enough to make Europa dangerous and unstable. Bungie has also gone much further in developing the story you uncover along the way through the expansion. The battle against Aramis is mixed up with Varix, an old Destiny 1 character, and deals with their disagreement on how best to serve and protect the scattered fallen race.
Riddance to traitors like you, unworthy of my empire.
Aramis, it was never meant to be an empire. It was meant to be home.
Finding and harnessing Stasis expands the story of the Exo Stranger, another Destiny 1 character, and finally sheds light on a bunch of questions that have lingered since the confusing Destiny 1 campaign.
I once asked Guardians to destroy the Blackheart, to prevent Darkness's arrival. Success may have been achieved, but I now know that fate comes knocking sooner or later.
This expansion tells a coherent story that's grounded in interactions between characters you've spent lots of time with over the years. You don't have to have read a ton of lore to understand what's going on in Beyond Light, but the storytelling will make you want to do so, and reward you with additional nuance for the investment. We've also seen a little bit of new content for the ongoing Season of the Hunt, which centers on Uldren Sov.
They call me the Crow. My boss wants to see you.
He's the guy players hunted down to exact revenge on for the murder of Cayde 6 in the Forsaken expansion. Uldren has been revived as a Guardian, losing the memories of his past life and misdeeds in the process. This season, he sends you on brief but engaging boss hunts to earn specific perk and stat rolls on new gear. While this season, like others, will mostly consist of replaying the same activities to chase various guns and armor, the simmering conflict of working closely with a guy your character executed makes the Season of the Hunt feel like it's burgeoning with possibilities. The character implications of the season already provide as big a draw to that content as the endless loot chase. Even after 6 years, though, there are still growing pains with Beyond Light and Destiny 2 at large. Bungie has removed a lot of content from Destiny 2 with this expansion. Several destinations and activities have been vaulted, with a possibility that they could be re-released sometime in the future. Europa's a big place, but it's true that there's altogether less of Destiny 2 than there was a year ago. That's not necessarily all bad. The game was getting unwieldy, big chunks of it were barely visited by players, and just because you could unlock and use hundreds of guns didn't mean they were all worth the effort. But for a game that is both built on and hampered by repetition, less content means less variety, and that means things can get stale all the quicker. But this is also the most alive Destiny 2 has felt, at least since the best days of the Forsaken expansion, and maybe ever. This is the closest we've ever been to its story, characters, and lore, and the most we've ever seen characters interacting with each other in meaningful ways. Already, we've uncovered a bunch of deep-cut, fascinating story beats about characters who have persisted in Destiny since the beginning. And the Deepstone Crypt Raid is an exciting, intense, and inventive challenge, and completing it altered Europa in some significant ways. Beyond Light might not be the biggest Destiny expansion, but it does feel like we've entered a new chapter in the game's life, with new priorities and an approach that makes the game more resonant beyond satisfying shooting. On the whole, Destiny 2 may be more same than it is different, but what's the same, like its phenomenal raids and tight, satisfying gameplay, is still pretty great, and what's different is making the game all the more worthwhile.